This video is nothing professional, it's nothing fancy. I'm only here to answer questions about travel during COVID and quarantine life here in Antigua. All the information that I am giving has been approved by the Minister of Health. And everything that I am telling you, I have heard from his mouth. Anything that I did not know, I made sure I asked him. Just a PSA. Don't tell me about what you heard. Don't tell me what your cousin did. I'm telling you what I did and what you're supposed to be doing. Most popular question, do I need to have a COVID test done before coming to Antigua? Yes, you do. It is mandatory, and the test has to have been done within 7 days of travel. So if you're traveling on a Monday, make sure that your test did not expire Sunday. I literally cut it this close because I took my test on Monday because I wanted to give them a few days to be able to get it back to me. I took the test on Monday. They did not get back to me until Thursday. I left on Saturday. By the time I landed in Antigua on Sunday, the test was on day 7. Had I had to overnight or I missed a flight, the test would have been old. I don't even know what they would have done. So you have to have one of those real-time polymerized, whatever. Look, it's right here, right? Ooh, I look like YouTube. Look, it's right here. I'm a YouTube star. You have to have one of those tests that you take, it goes away, and then it comes back to you. You cannot do one of those rapid tests. So before travel, I was like, oh, I'm just going to take one of those rapid tests the day before I leave, and I don't know if I have it or not. No. Good thing I read. It said that you have to have one of those professional tests, the real good, the Gucci. When I checked in Huntsville, Alabama, guess what? The lady said, when on the computer, it must have popped up, it said, I need to have a negative test to go to Antigua. So I had to show her my papers. When I went to Miami, before I boarded the plane, they needed me to, when they called the zone 4, when I pulled up to scan my boarding ticket, guess what? Let me see your negative COVID test. They were not playing any games. I mean, there was even a gentleman who was just trying to get on the plane, and the lady was like, no, we didn't see his negative test. It has to be taken within 7 days. Children under the age of 12 do not have to have a COVID test. So Carter, Liam, and Charlotte did not need a test. But the adult that they were traveling, which is me, I'm above the age of 12, I had to have a test to enter Antigua. So many of the websites that we visit confuse some of us, and it confused me. The one thing that I wanted answered was, can I come to Antigua and take that $100 test that I read that was available at the airport? It said that I could. What do they mean by that? If I came here without a test, can I take the $100 test? No. It is mandatory to fly to Antigua. Airlines are required to check to see if you have that negative test to come to Antigua. The only situations in which you can take that $100 test is, let's say, if your flight got delayed and you stayed in Miami for 2 extra days and now your 7th day is now day 9, or the test that you had, they just couldn't read it. It's up to them, but it is not optional. You cannot just come and say, I'm here to take the $100 test. No ma'am, no sir, they're not gonna let you. You are supposed to come to Antigua with a test, with that PCR test. Let's say for some reason you slide onto the radar, or in my situation, I was on the 7th day. Let's say I had to overnight or something and I stayed for 9 days or something. I couldn't take a test. Those are the only situations in which the government of Antigua will give you that $100 test. So it's not a free-for-all. It's not I want to take it, let me take it, I don't want to quarantine. You are not going to be able to take it. So another question that I was asked on my Instagram, insert Instagram name right here, was, so Faith, you took a test. It said you were negative. Why couldn't you have just gotten off the plane and gone with your family? You were negative. You have no COVID, girl. Why are they still locking you up for 14 days? I took the test on Monday. I could have got COVID Monday afternoon, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in the airplane. That is why you still have to quarantine. Even if I took a test the day I left, I could get COVID in the plane. I think you guys think once you test for COVID, you're good for the rest of your life. That's not how it works. And that is the problem when you take a COVID test. It's almost like if it told you you are immune from COVID forever. That's not what it means. This is a prime example of a situation that I talk to my students about all the time. I will show them for midterm, they have an A, and guess what? They stop coming to class, they stop studying, they stop doing their work, they hand everything in late. And I'm like, friend, you know your A can become an F real fast. So guys, please, just because you took a COVID test does not mean you will be COVID free forever, okay? So it doesn't matter if I have a negative COVID test, I still have to quarantine. But they would like me to take a test, which is so smart, for travel. Do you know how many people I would infect along the way and how many people are being infected along the way because people are traveling with COVID? Okay, these airports are jam-packed, popping. Okay, the airport looks like it did in 1999. It is packed. This is not a pandemic going on in America or the rest of the world, okay? These airports are jam-packed. So I know COVID is flying around on the little, the little escalator things that move. You just stand up and it just kind of moves on the floor. I know there's COVID all around there in the airplane because I know they're not wiping stuff down. They're not wiping stuff down. I left a plane, people coming in, we going in and out. They're not spraying stuff the way that they should. And let me tell you about airlines. So remember back in March when COVID first blew up and the airlines promised that they will not fly at capacity, full capacity? And we saw those images of plexiglasses on the left and the right because they were worried about our safety. No, friend, that is not going on That is not going on in the airplane. We are sitting tight like sardines. Every seat is packed. They getting them coins. Okay? Every seat is packed. So don't think that you're traveling and you're the only one traveling. That's just get that in your head now. Don't think, oh, it's a pandemic, no one's really flying. I think I'm gonna go and explore the world right now. No, it is tight out there in the airplanes. People are traveling, people are getting out there, and I don't have a problem with it. Just stay safe, wear your mask, do what you got to do, but the airplanes are packed. In airlines now, the only thing that has changed when flying, and I don't know about other airlines, again, this is my experience when I traveled American. I don't know what's going on, I can't speak for everybody, but with American, the plane was packed on every single flight that I went on. I went on 3 different flights to get here. The airplane was packed. The only difference was that there's no cart coming around. So this is one travel note for you. Eat what you need to eat, drink what you need to drink in the airport, because when you get on the airplane, no one will be asking you if you want coffee or tea. You're gonna be thirsty. Your throat gonna be dry for the 4-hour flight if you didn't drink or eat before you got on the plane or took something with you, because they are not coming through with anything. They do, however, give you a little plastic bag with some water and a biscotti. So yes, you need a test, and do not wait until you get here. So I know you may have heard along the way that Tom, Dick, or Harry came onto island with their test and it was negative, and they did not want to quarantine for 14 days. So they took another test from a lab or another doctor on the island, and it said that they were negative and they were allowed to leave their quarantine earlier than 14 days. Tom, Dick, and Harry may have done that. They may have taken a test when they got to Antigua at a private facility, and that test may have told them that they were negative, but that test did not give them permission to leave quarantine early, according to the government of Antigua. They themselves got up and left quarantine because they were like, well, I just took another test, so I'm good to go. But according to the government of Antigua, they do not approve those tests in private labs and private doctors that people are going to, because they are rapid tests, and the only test that is approved is the PCR. I am not doing this because I am forced to do this. I am doing this because I want to do this. Honestly, not feel comfortable. I wouldn't want to hug my dad. I wouldn't want to kiss anybody. I would feel so paranoid. Yes, it sucks that I can't just be with my family the way that I want to, But I prefer it this way over any other way because I know that when my 14 days is up, if I sneeze or cough, I know I am good. It is just my allergies. I'm not going to be like, oh, shoot, I got COVID. I'm about to die. I'm about to kill everybody. So I'm glad. Really, when I come out of COVID, and then when my quarantine is up, I'm going to be looking at y'all real dirty. Like, I know I'm good. I've been locked away for 14 days. I don't got no COVID. I'm going to be looking at everybody else like, oh, don't touch me. Y'all got germs. So I don't have a problem being quarantined. When I landed in Antigua, like I said, it was quiet. I mean, only workers there. They were all masked up. Some had on the full blue suit. At the top of the escalator, like when you come down before you get to the, customs. When you get there, there's a gentleman at the top that kind of holds everybody back because usually we be bum rushing downstairs, like we trying to get in through and get out. So they kind of let you down in certain numbers, so it's not like everybody's jam packed. Stickers on the floor as usual, and there's somebody telling you to move forward. Very well organized. When I actually get to the counter, they have separated the downstairs in the airport into two halves. Usually you just line up, see one person, immigration officer, go get your bags. Now you have to do a COVID check-in, then you go to immigration. But it's all right there on the same floor. So you have some cubicles there. When I pull up, the lady says, hey, so let me see your information. Let me see your COVID test. It's negative. Okay, where are you going? The villa that I was staying at, I already knew it wasn't going to be on the list of approved places. So the lady said to me, oh, well, because it's not a list, like it's not one of the hotels that we have on the list, you have to sign this piece of paper. So this paper states it is called Ministry of Health, Wellness and Environment, Quarantine Authority, Quarantine Directions. I had to put my name, my passport number, date of arrival, nationality, and where I was going to be staying. There are 4 things that are on here that I am signing to say that I agree to. Number 1 was that according to the Antigua government, that she highlighted, has directed that you quarantine in your home or a designated facility for observation for 14 days. Number 2, she didn't highlight anything in here, but she really should have, because it says that failure to comply, you got to pay $10,000 or 6 months in prison, or both. Number 3 stated that during my quarantine period, I would contact an officer at the quarantine authority. And number 4 just states that if I have fever, shortness of breath, any type of symptom, that I would let them know. And it says that I read and I understand and I signed and I put my name. Okay, so you can't say they didn't tell you nothing. You can't say they didn't tell you. So, questions when it comes to the list of approved places and what blah, blah, blah. If you are a tourist, meaning you are not from Antigua, you are coming here to have a good old time, you will be staying at a hotel anyways, or an Airbnb. But I do recommend that you contact your Airbnb and check and make sure that they are on the list of approved places. If you are not a tourist and you are from Antigua and you live in Antigua and you traveled abroad, you are required to come home and keep yourself away from everybody for 14 days. If you are like me and you live abroad and you are coming here to have a good time, but at the same time you are trying to mingle with family and friends on island, you are also required to keep yourself away from everybody for 14 days. So I had questions like, suppose I don't have a place to stay. If you are a tourist and you do not have a place to stay, you shouldn't even be coming here. Like a tourist. You should have a place to stay. You stay in a hotel, right? If you are a Antigua national coming home to visit, you can stay with people that you know if they have an area of the house in which you can seclude yourself and isolate yourself where you're not mingling with others. And if you are somebody coming home to visit family and friends for a period of time, you also could do the same thing. You could stay with family or friends, but make sure that you're isolating yourself. So you are a national. You either live away in New York, Miami, Huntsville, Alabama, and you come to Antigua. You're coming back home to Antigua for a holiday. Or you are a national that traveled to America or Europe just to visit and you're coming back home. But you have nowhere to isolate, nowhere to stay for your 14 days. What's going to happen? Well, if you do not have a place to stay, the government of Antigua has a place for you to stay free of charge where they feed you and monitor you. It started out in the very beginning at the base, close to the airport. Antigua people know what I'm talking about. Then it moved to Hawksbill. Then it moved to Halcyon. That's where they are now. They have about 20 people there. But Halcyon wants back their hotel, so they're going to move out of Halcyon and they're going to move back to the base. In the beginning, I know you heard a lot of stuff about what was going on. Of course, they were working out kinks. Now they figured the kinks out and they're moving back to the base. That's where you'll stay. Keep yourself away from family and friends for 14 days. So I had a lot of people tell me that they didn't like that tourists are not quarantined. They can be in a hotel and Antiguans have to quarantine. Let me make this make sense for you. So if you are a tourist and you are coming to Antigua to have a good time, you have no roots to Antigua, you are not trying to visit any family and friends for real, you are just trying to go to a good all-inclusive and drink and eat it up and live life, come on to Antigua. The Antigua government says that tourists are not required to quarantine for 14 days because that is stupid. What tourist is going to quarantine or lock themselves away for 14 days? Most tourists don't even come for 14 days. They come into a hotel that is approved to handle situations such as theirs. They're masked up. The tables are spread out. They have all precautions laid out, set in place to keep everyone safe. A tourist may go on an excursion for the day. A tourist may go on a boat for the day. They may go out to a little zip line. Whatever it is, tourists kind of stay in their own little bubble. And the people that they interact with, the Antiguans that they interacted with, are trained to handle them. It is also easier to contact trace a tourist. Or you were here, and today I see that you booked with Wadadley Cats. I have a list of people who were on Wadadley Cats. Okay, and then you went back to your hotel room, and then you went to we can contact trace a tourist. Versus an islander, such as myself, when I come to Antigua, I'm not in a bubble. I am visiting grandma, auntie, cousins, friends. I'm going to the supermarket. I'm all up in Epicurean touching stuff. I'm going in town. I'm in St. John's. I'm everywhere. Basically, what I'm trying to explain is if I put red paint on a tourist's hand and I then looked at everywhere they were or everything that they've touched, compared to the blue paint that I put on one islander's hand, the amount of things that they touch, trust me, the blue paint will be everywhere, okay? It will be way more places than the red paint was. So that is why tourists do not have to quarantine. And remember, tourism is our industry. Antigua cannot cut off to the rest of the world and say tourists don't come in. Almost everyone I know has a family member that works in tourism. My brother, my aunts, my cousins, we depend on the money from tourism. So we want tourists to come. We want them to feel welcome. We want them to follow our guidelines with their COVID test, and the hotels, I think, checks them and they have to check, whatever it is. We want them to come, follow our rules, have a good time, and then leave. Whereas with an Antiguan, we have to make sure that you are clean because you're staying. So stop that comparison, like tourists, they get to do this and I don't get to do that. No, we are two different people. A tourist does tourist things and I do me things. A tourist mingles with these people and I mingle with everyone. So that is why the government has set two different rules. You're going on two different platforms. You're following two different roads depending on if you are a tourist or if you are from Antigua. So no, you will not come off the plane and have to quarantine in wherever they want to put you, like think some type of sci-fi movie, like you're locked into a room with no windows. It's not like that. The government of Antigua wants to know where you're going. Where are you going? What's your address? So that if something happens, we can find you. So you give them your address. They also want to know that you are going to stay where you say you are going to be staying. Thousands of people enter the island. They cannot babysit everyone. So no, there's nobody knocking on my door asking me to take my temperature. Okay, no one's done that. Nurse, I have the nurse's name here, and a WhatsApp number and a phone number. I am responsible for communicating with this person. Antigua basically said, you know what? We trust you to do what you say you're going to do. We let you in here. Please contact this person for 14 days with your temperature twice a day. Nobody is checking in on you. Nobody's knocking your door down. Somebody might knock your door down if you are out here in these streets. So if Antigua is not that big, and some people have familiar faces, some people are well known. So for instance, if I went somewhere, somebody could say, I swear I saw Faith on Instagram say that she just landed, and y'all tell your mom, and your mom's like, oh, that gal for Kala, she just come and she all over the place. And then guess what? Word can get back to them, and then they'll come looking for me, and then they will knock down my door and be like, man, where you been? But nobody's knocking down your door unless they feel like they have to, if you just follow the rules. Because you are required to take your temperature twice a day, do not leave America without your thermometer. It's like $2 there. Do not come here looking for a thermometer. Make sure you pack your thermometer. So who picks you up from the airport? A taxi, not mommy, daddy, cousin, best friend. Even though some of y'all have people picking y'all up. There are taxis there. Did I want to pay 50 US to go to Jolly Harbor? No, but I did because that's the rule. So I paid the taxi man. I went to a counter. She asked me how many bags, who am I, where am I going, who's going with me? And the taxi drove me to my location. So he can vouch. This is where she said she was staying, and she is staying there. Antiguans who come home for a short period of time, that's another question I got. I'm only coming for 7 days, what should I do? I don't recommend people coming for less than 2 weeks, because if you are going to be quarantining yourself the proper way for 14 days, where you are not mingling with family and friends, where you're staying in the quarters that they told you, why would I travel all the way to Antigua to not leave the house? But I know people are coming and they are leaving the house and they are going to visit family, friends, and loved ones. You may say to yourself, I'm just going to see my cousin. But your cousin will see your aunt and your aunt will see your grandma. Try not to come to Antigua for a short period of time at this point in time, because it's no point if you're really going to follow the rules. The problem when some people follow the rules and some people don't. So I'm following the rules. I'm tested. I locked away 14 days. I haven't even come close to my parents. They were behind a fence. We all masked up when we're speaking to them. And then there are Antiguans that come to Antigua, a place that has a lot of COVID cases. What's happening is you're ruining the trip for me. I should be able to come to Antigua and go see family, go see friends, and not feel like I'm putting anybody at risk. But the truth is, I'm now paranoid because I'm like, well, I want to go see my friend, but my friend just saw her friend who just came off the plane and didn't stay at home. So now, if I go see my friend, I'm going to put my daddy at risk. Sorry, he doesn't come until next month. And we're still deciding about his quarantine situation. He doesn't need this 2-bedroom villa to stay in by himself. It's just Kahari. So he possibly might just stay in my parents' home, off to a whole quarter by himself. We slide him food. He can do that. He's not going to be tempted to hug people and hang out with people. He can seclude himself. He's responsible enough to know that I just came from a country that has high numbers. I'm not trying to get my father-in-law sick. I'm not trying to get my mother-in-law sick. I'm not trying to get my baby sick. So he's going to follow the rules because he loves the people that he's around. So I had the question on my Instagram, was I required to download some type of app that would track me where I am or where I am going? No, I was not required. I came onto island on October 4th and I was not required to download any type of tracking app. I was not given any type of tracking device. But I got some tea that in a few weeks, in about 2 weeks, they will be issuing tracking bracelets to incoming visitors and locals to make sure you are where you say you are. Because y'all messed up and y'all were not where y'all were supposed to be. But anyways, that's none of my business. So that's a wrap. I hope I answered everyone's questions. Feel free to reach out to me if you need me. I am on day 10. I literally have, I can taste it. I can taste home. I literally have like a few days left. Time goes by so fast, like so fast. 14 days in the beginning sounded like forever, and I can't believe in like 3 days I'll be free. So just do what you gotta do.